Do you know what? Life is too short to carry an ugly pen. Or at least that's what it says on this package here. Life is too short to carry an ugly pen. And we're going to look at a pen, and we'll decide, or, I'll comment on it. Maybe I'll come up with an opinion about whether it's ugly or not. Who knows? Anyway, so what we're looking at is a Retro 51. And I got this actually a while back at a sale, so it's I got it on a clearance sale, and it was quite cheap when I picked it up. So yeah, I don't know if that helps any, but anyway, what we're looking at is a Retro 51, and when I bought this, I was under the impression that the business was closing down. I had heard different rumors, and I believe they are still in business. Anyway, but at the time I was under the impression that they were about to close, but hopefully they've kept on. And this is an older one of the Retro 51s. I believe they've updated a few things since this pen was released. And the first thing I will say about Retro 51 is I quite like the packaging. It's very unique. Well, not very unique. It's unique. There's no such thing as very unique. You're either unique or you're not. So it's unique. So it's a unique packaging. It comes in this sort of tube. It has a Retro 51 written on it. And this looks like an older style stock car racing. There seems to be some kind of a racing theme going on here. The checkered flags, what looks like a rum runner / stock car from the late 40s to maybe the early 50s, and probably early 50s, 1951. I'm not too sure too much about the history of the pen or the company. I don't know why it's called 1951. Actually, if you could tell me that, I would love to know. I'm not an expert. I'll be honest with you. I still consider myself somebody who's learning about fountain pens and researching, and I might have known why the company was 1951, but I forget. Maybe that was the birth date of one of the founders. Who knows? So it comes in a tube, and you pull it apart, and inside you find a pen. Sort of has this hard foam insert within the bottom part of the core, and the pen sits inside a hole in that, and it's quite secure. That's quite nice. On the top, it says Retro 51 Tornado Fountain Pen, orange, medium. So it's a medium, and it comes with a little booklet. Just gives you some information about the different products they carry. Your shiny new pen has traveled out. Anyway, it has a few little illustrations like that you would see on the back of old comic books or magazines, just little things like that. It's, retro. It's quite nice. Tells you about the tornado. Shows you the parts of the pen. They also make a pencil, and they also make a roller ball, and it tells you some fountain pen care and maintenance instructions. That's the ballpoint, actually. I said roller ball, but it says ballpoint. Maybe there's a roller ball. Anyway, you have a thing about service request, limited 1-year warranty, which is passed for my my personal use, and no implied. Anyway, yeah, all kinds of different little information. Nice little book and everything. So as you can see, there is an orange pen, and you pull it out, and I have to be honest, I've always really liked the look of the Retro 51s. They come in lots of different finishes, lots of different colors, and this I don't know if this color is still made. As I say, it's one of the older versions, and I'll tell you why I believe it's the older one. Well, I've had it a while, and also it was on sale when I bought it, and The nib is a Schmidt nib. I believe now they use a Yowo. Jowo? Yowo. What is the proper pronunciation of that? I've heard so many versions. Anyway, it has a Schmidt nib. And this is probably the only Schmidt nib I have. German manufacturer. It, if you think of Yowo, there's Schmidt, there's Bach, then also some manufacturers make their own company. A lot of manufacturers will buy, you know, from a certain manufacturing company who produces nibs. The reason being, making a nib is very hard, and there's no reason. If you're starting a new company, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Uh, but at the same time, a lot of companies end up with certain brands of nibs. Now they brand them with their own logos, and some of them do tuning and alterations probably just to make the pen write in a certain way. But anyway, this has a Schmidt nib, which actually was one of the reasons I bought it, because I was kind of curious about a Schmidt nib. It's a screw cap, which, if you've watched my videos before, you know that I prefer pull caps, but it's not too bad. Well, couple turns and it comes off. Now, I really like the finish on this pen. The color is beautiful. I have to be honest. It's a metal pen. I'm not too sure if it's aluminum or steel, but there's a fair bit of weight to it. And one of my things is this part here is plastic. These threads are plastic, and this is steel. So, always be careful when you're, or at least that feels like plastic. It sure looks like plastic. Anyway, you turn that on. And so I'm always a little careful with the nibs, and I now have ink on my hands. Yay. So there's this nice section. There's threads right here, and there's a little step. But, they're not sharp. They don't bother me. No more so than, say, the Pilot Metropolitan or anything like that. I don't mind. I would say it's not an overly long pen. I don't have huge hands. But I do feel, like, I'm not going to say it feels awkward in my hand, but I wouldn't mind holding it a little further back. I tend to hold my pens a little further back, but I find that I'm holding it closer to the nib than I tend to do. And, it fits my hand okay. But, and this is where I have one criticism of this pen. I almost always post my pens. If the pen can be posted, I tend to do that. Some people, a lot of people post their pens. Some people don't like to. But I find with this pen, there's a couple things that I will say. Because of the finish and the metal lip here, which actually, this bit right here, when you run your finger over it, is fairly sharp. I tend to worry about the finish, putting a metal cap on the metal barrel with that high gloss finish, and I worry that it might, over time, scratch it up. But also, it doesn't really post particularly well. You would have to jam that on pretty hard, and by jamming that on, I'm pretty sure you'll quickly scuff it up. But even then, it still doesn't stay on, right? So it's very loose, and it feels really awkward, and it also becomes back heavy. But it actually makes a nice length pen for my tastes. Okay, I tend to like posting it just for that extra little bit of length on the pen. So I don't use it with the cap on. And that's my main criticism of the pen. I don't think I have any other criticisms. Anyway, so how does it write? Oh, the ink I've put in it is Ferris Wheel Press Tumbling Time Blue. That's the ink I put in this one. Mainly because this ink recommends using a medium nib, and this Schmidt nib is a medium nib. Um, but I have to be honest with you, it's not the broadest medium nib I own. Or that was my first impression. Let's try it here again and see how I feel about it. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, right? Yeah. Hmm. Is this a wet or dry pen? Uh, Using it, I would I think this is a wet ink. It feels, I would think this has well, I don't know. I'll have to try it in a couple of different pens to come up with my firm opinion of this ink. The pen itself is fairly smooth, but there's just that slight drag that's not scratchy or anything like that. But there's just like a feeling as I go across the paper where there's just, it's not feedback, it's not scratchy, it's it feels like a dry nib. That that's how I would suggest it feels. But I should also try it. I have actually tried this with different inks, and I did find that actually to be the case in the long term. It just felt like there was it some how can I? It just felt like there's almost a chalky drag to the nib. Not a scratchy feeling, but it feels smooth, but it just doesn't glide uh, easily across the page. And I've tried it on different inks and everything like that. And you know, I haven't actually tried many Schmidt. Well, this is the only Schmidt nib I tried, and I have. Um, so yeah, what do I like about it? I find it a very attractive pen. I quite like the design. Uh, I love the interesting uh, finial up here, and the clip, is very stiff, very good. Uh, it's almost simple in some ways. There's a cutout, sort of a teardrop cutout in the center, and it seems quite simple, but actually it's actually quite elegant on this pen. I like the little metal cap band down here, and this bit here, look, where there's this. It almost feels like a piece of machinery for some, or it almost reminds me of a piston head on a souped up hot rod or something like that. There's sort of that automotive feel. You're looking at like almost like a piston head or part of you know a custom built engine from some kind of a stock car or something like that. There's lots of chrome on it, chrome and on the barrel here. And it says, of course, Retro 51 up here. Tornado, yeah. Yeah, so it's a nice pen. The only thing I don't like about it is, of course, the fact that I can't post it. I know that they have Yo-O nibs on it now, and I wonder. Uh, Actually, I would probably say it is a bit less. There's probably a less resistance to the nib with the newer models. But if you have actually a new one with the Yo-O, let me know. How does it write? Does it write a little smoother than this? Uh, does it glide a bit faster across the page than the Schmidt? Um, yeah, weight wise, it's good. I like the size of it. It's not absurdly large, which is always nice. Sometimes when you pull out a pen that's just ridiculously big, big, it almost looks like I don't know. I feel a little self-conscious. I like smaller pens, and this is a nice size. It's not the smallest pen I have. It's not the biggest pen I have. Um, it's just a good size pen. But anyway, yeah. Overall, I like it. Yeah. The cap is the only thing. The fact that I can't post it. Maybe if there was like a plastic liner in here, that would be nice. Some kind of protection, uh, or maybe some kind of mechanism on the end that would have, allowed you to post the pen. That would change the shape of the barrel, of course. But yeah, overall, it's a nice design. But it's not one that I use very often, and but I'm going to use it for the next little while. Uh, and when I do my next currently inked video, if it still has ink in it, give you a better, I'll give you an update on how I like it. So anyway, do you have in the comments below, if you have a Retro 51 from this period with a Schmidt nib, let me know what you think. If you have one of the more recent models with a different nib, let me know how it's working for you. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any information about the company, let me know. I at one point I thought they were going out of business, but maybe, maybe somehow they seem to be still around, and that's a great thing. Do you have any different models from Retro? That'd be nice to hear too. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day, and thank you for watching the video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.